السلام عليكم، أهلا وسهلا بكم طلبتي الأعزاء، طلبة المرحلة الثالثة في قسم الترجمة في هذه المحاضرة الجديدة من محاضرات النحو المقارن. In this lecture we are going to start discussing a new topic. This topic is entitled Compound and Complex Sentences. الجمل المركبة والجمل المعقدة. Now, we will start our discussion of this topic by raising the following question. How can we enlarge a simple sentence or a clause? Or in other words, how can we make a simple sentence or a clause more complicated or more complex? What are the methods that can be used to enlarge a simple sentence or a clause? In fact, the answer to this question is that there are basically two ways of enlarging a simple sentence or a clause. ثمة وسيلتان ممكن من خلالها أن نكون جملة مركبة أو جملة معقدة، أي أن نجعل الجملة البسيطة أو العبارة الفعلية أكثر تعقيدا بعض الشيء باللجوء إلى وسيلتين أساسيتين. These two methods are either by using coordination اللي نسميه الترابط التناسقي or by using subordination اللي هو الترابط غير التناسقي أو الذي يكون فيه the two clauses, one is dependent and the other is independent, as we shall see in the following discussion. Now, we will start with the first method of enlarging a simple sentence or a clause, which is called coordination, الترابط التناسقي. Two simple clauses or more may be linked together with each clause remaining independent. في هذه الطريقة اللي نسميها coordination، في هذا النوع من الترابط ممكن أن نربط ما بين عبارتين فعلية بسيطة أو أكثر، وبهذه الطريقة تبقى كل عبارة فعلية محتفظة باستقلاليتها ومحتفظة بأهميتها. This is called coordination. هذا النوع من الربط يسمى coordination, and the linking word is called either a coordinator or a coordinating conjunction. Now, we shall try to discuss what do we mean by a coordinate clause. What is a coordinate clause? How does it differ from a subordinate clause, for example? So, as a coordinate clause is the clause which is connected to one or more than one clause of equal importance and makes complete sense by itself, is called the independent or coordinate clause. إذن نطلق مصطلح coordinate clause على العبارة الفعلية التي ترتبط بعبارة فعلية أخرى أو أكثر، وتبقى محافظة كل عبارة فعلية منهم على أهميتها، يعني تكون كل العبارات الفعلية في الكوردينيشن متساوية من ناحية الأهمية، وكل عبارة فعلية يعني تعطي معنى كامل، ممكن أن تستخدم كجملة مستقلة بحد ذاتها. ولذلك الكوردينيت كلوز أيضا ممكن أن نطلق عليه اسم independent اللي هو العبارة الفعلية المستقلة، لأنها ممكن أن تستخدم كعبارة مستقلة مكتملة المعنى. The coordinate clause in a sentence have an equal level of importance. قلنا العبارات الفعلية التي تربط باستخدام الكوردينيشن تكون متساوية من ناحية أهميتها، لا توجد عبارة فعلية أهم من الأخرى في الكوردينيشن، بل تكون جميع العبارات الفعلية متساوية من ناحية الأهمية. The conjunction joining the independent clauses is known as the coordinating conjunction. الأداة التي تعمل على الربط ما بين العبارات الفعلية المستقلة بحيث تبقى هذه العبارات مستقلة وتبقى مكتملة المعنى الأدوات اللي تربط هذا النوع من العبارات تسمى coordinating conjunctions or coordinators. Now we want to know what are coordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions are words which connect phrases, sentences or clauses of equal rank. إذن أدوات الربط التناسقية هي عبارة عن كلمات تستخدم لربط العبارات الاسمية أو جمل بسيطة أو عبارات فعلية، على شرط أن تبقى كل هذه العبارات الاسمية أو العبارات الفعلية أو الجمل البسيطة التي ربطت باستخدام واحدة من هذه الأدوات محافظة على أهميتها وكلها تكون على نفس القدر من الأهمية. They connect phrases, sentences or clauses which don't depend on each other to make sense. إذن تستخدم coordinating conjunctions كي تربط ما بين عبارات اسمية أو عبارات فعلية أو جمل بسيطة، ومثل ما قلنا قبل قليل تبقى كل عبارة أو كل جملة بسيطة محافظة على استقلاليتها، لا توجد عبارة تعتمد في معناها على عبارة أخرى. They connect complete thoughts in a text. إذن راح تكون وظيفة coordinating conjunctions إنها تعمل على إيجاد نوع من الترابط ما بين الأفكار المتكاملة في داخل النص. هذه هي وظيفة coordinating conjunctions. Now, the clauses joined by coordination or coordinating conjunctions make up a compound sentence. إذن حين نربط ما بين عبارات فعلية أو جمل بسيطة باستخدام one of the coordinators راح تتكون عندي نوع جديد من الجمل أطلق على هذا النوع من الجمل المركبة or compound sentences. So a compound sentence contains two independent clauses that are joined together. إذن الجملة المركبة تحتوي على عبارتين فعليتين مستقلتين ترتبطان معا باستخدام إحدى أدوات الربط التناسقية اللي هي coordinators. فمثلا في المثال أمامنا she works in the city but she lives in the suburbs. نلاحظ هنا عندي I have two clauses or two simple sentences which have been linked or connected through the usage of the coordinator but, because but is a coordinator. Okay, we can see that each of these two clauses will remain independent. كل عبارة استخدمنا بها أداة ربط اللي هي coordinators تبقى عبارة مستقلة. فنلاحظ إنه she works in the city, this will remain an independent clause, and she lives in the suburbs is another independent clause, and they are equal in their importance, equal in their value, equal in their rank, and each one of these two clauses can be used independently and it has a full or a complete meaning. Now you can see here the structure of a compound sentence. A compound sentence might be made up of an independent clause plus the coordinating conjunction plus another independent clause. For example, he ate pizza and she ate a salad. Here we have two independent clauses. The first independent clause, he ate pizza, and the second independent clause is she ate a salad. These two independent clauses have been connected by using the coordinator and each one of these two clauses will remain independent and it can stand alone and it has a full or a complete meaning. Remember here, you can see the note here, to use a comma before the coordinator. As you can see here, there is a comma which is put before the coordinator. And also keep in mind that fanboys will help you to remember the coordinating conjunctions below. Here are the coordinating conjunctions in English, which we will study in much detail in our next lecture, inshallah. These coordinating conjunctions include for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. To remember these conjunctions easily, they have been put into, or the first letter of each of these conjunctions have been put in one word, which is fanboys, to make it easier for you to remember all these conjunctions. Now, here we have some comparison between the structure of the simple sentence and the compound sentence. When we say a simple sentence, we mean it is a sentence which has a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. الجملة البسيطة هي جملة لابد أن تتكون من الفاعل والفعل وتعطي فكرة متكاملة. For example, Joe waited for the train. Here we have a simple sentence because it is made up of one single clause. As for the compound sentence, it is made up of two independent clauses or simple sentences that are connected with a comma and a coordinating conjunction, one of the fanboys. إذن الجملة المركبة تتكون من عبارتين فعليتين مستقلتين أو جملتين بسيطتين تم ربطهما باستخدام الكوما الفارزة وباستخدام إحدى أدوات الربط اللي هي one of the fanboys. For example, Joe waited for the train, but the train was late. Here we have two independent clauses or two simple sentences which have been connected by using the coordinator but. So you can see Joe waited for the train. This is the first independent clause. The train was late. This is the second independent clause. The same relation is found in Arabic. If we want to find whether the same relation of coordination is found in Arabic or not, we will definitely say that the same relation of coordination can be found in Arabic, and there are many examples to prove that coordination is found in Arabic. As you can see here, there are some examples of the usage of coordinators in Arabic. أعمل وأسمع موسيقى هادئة. Here we have the coordinator الواو to connect between these two clauses أعمل وأسمع. اجتهد الطالب فنجح. الفاء is also one of the coordinators in Arabic which has been used to link these two independent clauses. كتبت الواجب ثم شاهدت التلفاز. Here also we have the coordinating conjunction ثم which has been used to connect between two clauses or two simple sentences. تستطيع أن تجلس أو تغادر. Here also we have the coordinating conjunction أو which has been used to connect between two clauses. So the same relation is found in Arabic. Now we come to the second manner in which a simple sentence or a clause can be enlarged, which is called subordination. One clause may be subordinated to the other by being dependent on it. This is called subordination, and the sentence is called complex sentence. Here, two types of clauses are found, dependent and independent. إذن الطريقة الثانية التي من خلالها ممكن أن نجعل الجملة البسيطة أو العبارة الفعلية أكثر تعقيدا هي باللجوء إلى استخدام subordination. في حالة استخدام هذه الطريقة سيكون ستكون إحدى العبارات الفعلية تابعة أو خاضعة أو تعتمد في معناها على عبارة فعلية أخرى، تكون العبارة الفعلية الأخرى هي العبارة المستقلة. إذن هذه العملية تسمى subordination، والجملة في هذه الحالة التي تكون أداة الربط فيها subordinator تسمى complex sentence أو الجملة المعقدة. في هذا النوع من الجمل يتكون لدينا نوعان من أنواع العبارات الفعلية. Two clauses are found. One of these clauses is dependent. إذا ستكون إحدى العبارات الفعلية تابعة، بينما العبارة الفعلية الأخرى will be independent. ستبقى العبارة الفعلية الأخرى مستقلة أو قائمة بحد ذاتها. فستتكون لدينا في حالة subordination نوعين من أنواع العبارات الفعلية، أحدهما عبارة فعلية تابعة والأخرى عبارة فعلية مستقلة. Now قلنا أنه في حال استخدام subordinators كأدوات ربط سيتكون لدينا نوع جديد من أنواع الجمل، وهذا النوع يطلق عليه complex sentence أو الجملة المعقدة. We can define a complex sentence as a sentence that contains one independent and at least one dependent clause. إذن هي الجملة التي تحتوي على عبارة فعلية مستقلة واحدة وعلى الأقل عبارة فعلية تابعة واحدة. For example, while I am a passionate basketball fan, I prefer football. Here you can see that we have connected these two clauses or these two simple sentences by using the subordinator while. In this case, we have two types of clauses. While I am a passionate basketball fan, this is the dependent clause because it starts with the subordinator, while the other clause, I prefer football, is the independent clause. And the type of sentence here is called a complex sentence because we have a subordinator and because we have two types of clauses. One of them is dependent and the other is independent. Now we want to know what are the subordinating conjunctions. Subordinating conjunctions are linking words which connect one dependent clause to an independent clause. إذن subordinators أو subordinating conjunctions هي عبارة عن أدوات أو كلمات ربط تستخدم للربط ما بين عبارة فعلية مستقلة وعبارة فعلية تابعة. It always comes in the beginning of a dependent or subordinate clause. دائما ما تأتي subordinating conjunctions في بداية العبارة الفعلية التابعة. A subordinate clause cannot make sense on its own. العبارة الفعلية التابعة اللي نسميها subordinate clause or dependent clause لا يمكن أن تعطي معنى متكامل، لذلك لا يمكن أن تكون مستقلة بحد ذاتها، لا يمكن أنه أستخدمها كجملة متكاملة المعنى، لأنه أصلا هي حيكون نوعها عبارة تابعة أو عبارة غير مستقلة، إذن لا يمكن أن يكون لها معنى متكامل. In this diagram or in this slide you can see the structure of making a complex sentence. How can we for example make a complex sentence? Usually a complex sentence may consist of a subordinating conjunction plus a dependent clause plus an independent clause. For example, since he passed his English exam, Juan has been very happy. Here you can see we have a complex sentence because we have a subordinator, which is the word since, which has been put in the beginning of the sentence. So, since he passed his English exam, this will be the dependent clause. Juan has been very happy, this will be the independent clause. Remember here, there is some note. When a complex sentence begins with the subordinating conjunction and a dependent clause, you have to separate the clauses with a comma. You can see here that we have used a comma in this example because we have started the sentence or the complex sentence by using a subordinator. يعني حين نضع subordinator في بداية الجملة المعقدة فلا بد إنه نفصل the two clauses by using the comma. أوكي، كما تلاحظون في المثال أمامنا موجود الكوما. ليش؟ السبب إنه بدينا بالسبوردينيتر. أوكي، طبعا هذا الستركتشر ليس هو الستراكشر الوحيد لتكوين complex sentence. يعني ممكن إنه نقلب الجملة ونقول Juan has been very happy since he passed his English exam. يعني مو شرط إنه نبدأ الجملة المعقدة باستخدام subordinator. No, the subordinator can be used in different places within the complex sentence. Now, again, we want to say or to state whether the same relation of subordination exists in Arabic or not. We will definitely say that the same type of relation of subordination is also found in Arabic. And the examples in front of you prove that this type of relation can be found in Arabic. If we say إن نعمل اليوم نرتاح غدا. Here you can see إن is one of the subordinators in Arabic. كلما قرأت قصة شعرت بالنوم. كلما again is one of the subordinating conjunctions in Arabic. لو عملنا بجد لكسبنا الكثير من المال. لو is again one of the subordinators in Arabic. غاب علي أمس لأنه كان مريضا. لأن again is one of the subordinators in Arabic. أنا مشغول اليوم لذلك سأزورك غدا. لذلك أيضا is one of the subordinators in Arabic. So we can definitely say that subordination is found in Arabic also. Now, regarding the two methods which can be used to enlarge a simple sentence or a clause, we can find that there are two types of conjunctions. Either we have a coordinating conjunction, in this case we have a compound sentence, or we have a subordinating conjunction, and in this case we have a complex sentence. So, as you can see here, there are two types of conjunctions, either coordinating just like and, but, or, nor, for, so, and yet, or we can have a subordinating conjunction just like if, as, since, when, because, although, etc., because there are so many other different subordinators which we will discuss later on. Now, again, we have two types of clauses regarding the type of the sentence. Either we have independent clause اللي هي عبارة فعلية مستقلة. So an independent clause makes a statement or asks a question that can act as a complete sentence. إذا العبارة الفعلية المستقلة هي عبارة يعني مثبتة أو خبرية أو تطرح سؤالا معينا، وممكن أن تستخدم كجملة كاملة المعنى وجملة مستقلة. For example, the dog barks. This is a simple sentence and it consists of an independent clause. The other type of clauses is called dependent clause. A dependent clause cannot act as a complete sentence because it begins with a subordinating word such as when, because, if, whoever, etc. إذن العبارة الفعلية التابعة أو غير المستقلة لا يمكن أن تستخدم كجملة كاملة، والسبب أنها تبدأ بإحدى أدوات الربط اللي نسميها subordinators مثل when, because, if, whoever, etc. For example, if we say when the dog barks, this is a dependent clause. It cannot stand as a complete sentence. لا يمكن أنه أستخدمها كجملة كاملة لأنه المعنى غير مكتمل. I have to complete the meaning. That's why it is called dependent clause or subordinate clause. يعني هو عبارة فعلية غير مستقلة أو عبارة فعلية تابعة، يعني تحتاج إلى عبارة أخرى مستقلة كي يكتمل معنى الجملة. So these are the two types of clauses. By the way, if we have a complex sentence, this means that there are the two types of clauses لأنه بالجملة المعقدة يكون عندي نوعي العبارات الفعلية راح يكون عندي dependent clauses plus independent clauses. But if we have a compound sentence إذا كانت عندي جملة مركبة معناها عندي only the first type of clauses اللي هي independent clauses. Now, here you can see the difference between the three types of sentences, which are simple, compound, and complex sentences. Regarding the simple sentence, it is simply made up of a subject plus a verb plus sometimes a complement. يعني أحيانا أكو تكملة للجملة وأحيانا فقط نكتفي بأن تكون الجملة البسيطة مكونة من الفاعل والفعل. Just like the example here, she smiled. هذه جملة بسيطة مكونة فقط من الفاعل والفعل، لكن أحيانا تكون هنالك إضافات أخرى أو تكملة للجملة. أما بخصوص compound sentence, we have two or more simple sentences joined by a coordinator and punctuation. حتى نكون جملة مركبة نحتاج إلى عبارتين فعلية أو جملتين بسيطة نربطهما معا باستخدام one of the coordinators وباستخدام أدوات أو علامات الترقيم المناسبة اللي هي usually we use the comma. For example, she smiled and she laughed. As you can see here, we have two clauses or two simple sentences joined by the coordinator and there is a comma and with punctuation here. And each clause will remain independent. Regarding the third type, your complex sentences, we have an independent idea and a dependent idea in one sentence. في الجملة المعقدة لدينا نوعان من الأفكار. لدينا فكرة مستقلة قائمة بحد ذاتها كاملة المعنى، ولدينا أيضا في نفس الوقت فكرة تابعة أو فكرة غير مستقلة لا يمكن أن تكون كاملة المعنى. For example, she smiles when she is happy. Here, she smiles, this is the independent idea. ممكن أن تكون جملة بحد ذاتها لأنه معناها مكتمل. But the other clause, when she is happy, this is a dependent idea لأنها تبدأ بإحدى subordinators ولأن العبارة الفعلية التي تأتي بعد subordinator تكون دائما dependent clause. فإذا this is how the complex sentence is made. This is how the difference between the three types of sentences can be discussed. Now, also we have some other fourth type of sentences which can be entitled compound complex sentences. As the name says, it is made up of the two types of sentences. When we say compound complex معناها لدينا نوعان من الجمل، لدينا جملة مركبة ولدينا جملة معقدة في نفس الوقت. So a compound complex sentence has one complex sentence joined to a simple sentence with a conjunction. يعني لدينا جملة معقدة واحدة ربطت مع جملة بسيطة تكون هذه الجملة البسيطة أو تحتوي على coordinator، فكأنما هي تكون compound sentence وبنفس الوقت complex. فإذا اجتمعت النوعين معا وأطلق عليهما اسم compound complex sentence. For example, while Tom reads novels, Jack reads comics, but Sam only reads magazines. Here we have three simple sentences or three clauses which have been joined together. First of all, we have used the subordinator while at the beginning. إذن while Tom reads novels راح تكون هذا dependent clause لأنه بدأ بالsubordinator while. Jack reads comics, this will be the independent clause. لحد هنا احنا عندنا complex sentence لأن عندي subordinator عندي dependent clause زائد independent clause. بعد ذلك ربطناها بجملة ثالثة باستخدام أداة الربط but which is a coordinator. But Sam only reads magazines. Here we have a compound sentence because we have the coordinator but. إذن but Sam only reads magazines is also an independent clause because we have a compound sentence. So here we have one dependent clause اللي هو while Tom reads novels, while the other two clauses, Jack reads comics but Sam only reads magazines, are both independent clauses. So in this case, since we have a subordinator and a coordinator in the same sentence, then we have a special type of sentences which is called compound complex sentences. This is the structure of how you can make a compound complex sentence. First of all, you have, for example, an independent clause plus a coordinating conjunction plus a complex sentence. For example, he loves parties, but he won't go to prom because he is sick. Also, here you can find that we have three clauses which have been linked together by using both coordinators and subordinators. The first clause is independent. He loves parties. Okay. Then we have a coordinator, but, and a punctuation mark. The comma is found. This means that we have a compound sentence here. But he won't go to prom. This is another independent clause. Then we have a subordinator, which is the word because. This means that because he is sick will be the dependent clause because it starts with the subordinator. Since we have a subordinator, this means that we have a complex sentence. So again here we have a compound complex sentence because we have the two types of conjunctions found. We have a coordinating conjunction but, and we have a subordinating conjunction because. Remember here that in this pattern you may combine several dependent or independent clauses in different ways, but make sure you use the right linking words and punctuation to join them. So بالحقيقة هذه ليست هي القاعدة الوحيدة اللي ممكن من خلالها أكون compound complex sentence، لأنه ممكن إنه أبدأ compound complex sentence بالsubordinator، وممكن أن أغير في تسلسل الكلوزز وأغير في تسلسل الكونجنكشنز، لكن علي أن أراعي أنه أستخدم الأداة الربط الصحيحة المناسبة وكذلك علامات الترقيم المناسبة كي تتكون لدينا بالنتيجة جملة متكاملة من ناحية المعنى ومن ناحية الستركتشر، من ناحية التركيب النحوي. Now, as a result of all what has been said in this lecture, we can conclude that there are 4 sentence types depending on the types of conjunctions to be used or on the types of clauses which are found. So, the first type, as we have already known, is called the simple sentence, which is made up of one single clause. The second type is called compound sentence, in which coordinators are found and we have independent clauses. The third type is called complex sentence, in which we use subordinators and in which we have a dependent clause plus an independent clause. As for the fourth type, it is called complex compound sentence or compound complex sentence, in which we have the two types of conjunctions. We have both a subordinator and a coordinator in the same sentence, and we have the two types of clauses. We have dependent clauses and independent clauses as well. In this diagram, you can find the difference in the structure between these 4 sentence types. For example, the simple sentence contains one independent clause. هي الجملة البسيطة بالحقيقة تتكون من عبارة فعلية واحدة، وبالتأكيد راح تكون هاي العبارة الفعلية مستقلة لأنه هي جملة بسيطة متكاملة المعنى. For example, if you say I kicked the ball, here we have one clause and the type of this clause is independent. As for the compound sentence, it is made up of two or more independent clauses. تتكون الجملة المركبة من عبارتين فعليتين أو أكثر، ويكون نوع كل العبارات الفعلية مستقلة. I kicked the ball and it hit Tom. Here we have two clauses. I kicked the ball and it hit Tom. This is the second clause. Both clauses are independent. As for the third type, which is called complex sentences, we have one independent clause plus one or more dependent clauses. إذن في الجملة المعقدة لدينا عبارة فعلية مستقلة واحدة وعبارة فعلية أو أكثر تكون غير مستقلة أو تابعة. For example, Tom cried because the ball hit him. Here we have the subordinator because. إذن معناها لدينا جملة معقدة. إذن معناها لدينا نوعين من أنواع الكلوزز. Tom cried راح يكون هو independent clause. Because the ball hit him, this is the dependent clause. Regarding the fourth type of sentences, which is called compound complex sentences, they are made up of two or more independent clauses and one or more dependent clauses. إذن الجملة المعقدة المركبة تتكون من عبارات فعلية اثنين أو أكثر مستقلة زائدا عبارة فعلية أو أكثر تكون غير مستقلة. For example, Tom cried because the ball hit him and I apologized immediately. Tom cried, this will be the independent clause. Because the ball hit him, this is the dependent clause because it starts with a subordinator. لحد هنا راح يكون عندي complex sentence. لكن الجملة ما انتهت، عندي إضافة إلى الجملة اللي هو and I apologized immediately. Here we have used a coordinator. معناها I have a compound sentence. إذن and I apologized immediately, this will be an independent clause. إذن بهالحالة لدينا two independent clauses and one dependent clause. ولدينا two types of conjunctions. We have because, a subordinator, and we have and, a coordinator. Then we have the two types of sentences together. We have a compound sentence and a complex sentence in the same time. So it is called a compound complex sentence. This is the end of our lesson for today, in which we have discussed the difference between the four types of sentences. I hope you find all the information here interesting as well as useful to you. Thank you so much for your attention and for attending this lecture. Hope you will find much interesting information in this lecture or in any other lecture I present to you. If you have any questions, I will be ready to answer them. Thank you again. Hope to see you soon in our next lecture. Have a nice day, all of you.